Welcome to One Tired Teacher Turned Two Tired Teachers, episode 181, How Teachers Decide Whether to Stay in the Classroom or Leave the Classroom. So today, Lee and I are back together and we are talking about things that have to do with, should I leave? Should I stay? Should I change grade levels? Should I change schools? All those things. We know that those things are running through people's minds as the year starts to quickly approach. So we're going to talk about all those things. Hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, so here we are, ready to talk about some hard things, right, Lee?
Yeah. Well, first off, welcome back to school season. It was a wonderful summer, but now it's time to start changing our brain into that back to school season. And I'm so excited that I get to be back on the show for this season. Trina, I think it's going to be such a great episode, but I think we have some great conversations planned for the season. So I hope listeners keep listening as we go through.
Me too. I hope they do as well, because you're right. And sometimes when we get bogged down with the beginning of the year, we get stressed out and we're like, we don't have time to listen, read, attend any of that stuff. But the good thing about a podcast is you can just put it on and play it while you are doing all of your tedious chores.
Yeah. All right.
And I know for a fact, I have to give a shout out. It was somebody that said something on your Instagram, and she said that that we accompany her on her walk every week. And so I want to say hello to her and tell her to have a great year in the classroom.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Today's episode, Trina, is kind of heavy, but I feel like it is so timely as teachers are thinking about returning to the classroom for the new school year. I know that they're thinking about, should this year be the year that they make a change? And that change could be grade level change. It could be a school change, or it could be just a complete career change. Coming off 2 years of like having the pandemic and trying to teach through that, I know teachers are feeling a lot of pressure. There's also a lot of negativity in the news right now surrounding teachers. Strangely, I never understood that, and I think it feels really heavy. And so I think a lot of teachers are kind of coming into the school year, like thinking maybe they just need to leave the career field. Yeah. And I do think that for some, that might be the best choice, but I hope today's episode will help kind of guide their thinking as they're thinking about, it may not be the need of a career choice, but instead maybe a grade level change is needed, or maybe a school change is needed. So hopefully as we go through today's episode, we'll help kind of guide their thinking, just, based on our millions of years of experience between the two of us.
Yeah. And I have done all of those things. Yeah. I changed grade levels. I've changed schools. I've changed careers, not necessarily out of education, just more of a focus on supporting teachers. And, so it's still in the realm of education, but there are lots of options. And so I know, let's talk about when we know it's time to leave the grade level. Let's talk about that first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know for me, like sometimes it wasn't even a choice. But we were looping at my school. And so we were moving from first grade to second grade. I was a first grade teacher, and that was just the way it was going to be. I didn't have any hesitancy though. I was excited. I mean, I was pretty new at teaching, so I wasn't really locked into anything yet. And I was open to different situations at that point. And that was, I felt totally fine with it. I have changed. I have changed like into another part of a job. Like I knew it was time to leave. I was in the second grade classroom for a long, long time. I knew it was time to leave the classroom for a while because I started getting really frustrated with what was happening. And it had nothing to do with my team. I love my team. It was like a family. It really had more to do with the fact that I could see the writing on the wall. I knew we had just gotten that horrible, crappy iReady. Yeah, I can't stand iReady. So,
like some of my blog stuff's on the iReady website, right? Like,
no, not know that. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. No, I hate, okay, well, that's fine. You can say whatever you want about it, but
I'm not going to say bad things. It's not my favorite program. I think there's better things out there, but I think by the end of it, I didn't hate it. We'll just say that.
I saw kids crying on it. I don't understand why you test to failure. That just makes no sense. But let's not have a debate about iReady. So anyway, I didn't like
wrong conversation.
I didn't want programs. I didn't want the excessive testing that was happening. We would also do pretend testing, which was just annoying to me. Like benchmark assessments for the district were all of a sudden pretend high stakes testing, and it was just a waste of instructional time. Plus, I felt like I never had a chance to respond to the data. It was like, okay, here's the data, here's the issues. Now we're going to test again. It was like not implement in the practice, and then let me do another check. It was, so annoying. So I got mad, and I'm like, I can't. And also it was starting to be like, everyone will put their essential question on the left side of the board, and you will have a focus wall. And it was all these things that I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't have to have it on the left, because when I pull my screen down, this was before the days of like, interactive like TVs and stuff like that. When I had to pull my screen down, you couldn't see the left. So I needed to put it on the right. And I'm like, you're getting so nitpicky. That made me,
I know. Yeah.
Like, what about those poor, like, are we going to teach children that when they go into McDonald's, that the drinks are going to be on the left, but God forbid they're on the right in Burger King? Like, what in the world? So I know. So, okay, I'm going on a tangent. So I started getting frustrated.
Bring it back to grade level changes.
Yeah, that's when I knew I needed to make a change. And so I stepped into the role of student support specialist, and my eyes were like opened as far as like what it looks like from an administrator's perspective. But it definitely was time for me to go, because I was getting angry, and I couldn't contain. I didn't want that anger to come out on the children, because it's not their fault. So that's when I thought I needed a little bit of a change.
And then that's when you left the classroom. So, but like kind of bringing it back down to grade level change. I think some key indicators for when to know it's time. I think you're right. Most teachers end up changing grades because their administration says they have to. Mm-hmm. Looping, or you're being moved. A lot of times, like, teachers will be moved up to testing grade levels, or teachers will be moved out of testing grade levels. That kind of stuff happens. But when it's in your control, or you can make a change if you're finding, I think, if you're feeling stale in a grade. Mm-hmm. So I taught second grade for 8 years. I loved it, and I will always consider second grade my home. But on my 8th year, I felt a little stale. It was like a little stagnant there. And I felt like I needed a change. I went to my administrator at the time, and I said, hey, I would like to teach 3rd grade. I wasn't asking about looping. I just wanted to move up. Mm-hmm. And she said no. And I realized other things happened, and I ended up leaving the school and teaching 3rd grade at a different school. But I knew in my heart I needed that change, because everything was feeling like Groundhog Day again. Yeah. And I wanted to grow as an educator more. And I do think changing your grade level, even just one up or one down, can really help. If you're feeling a little stuck, if you're feeling a little like, just, a grade level change might be that refresh that you might need.
Absolutely. Gives you a different perspective, especially, I think you're right either way, because moving from 1st to 2nd, I'm like, oh, this is the expectation for 2nd. Now I can work on that in a little bit of a different way when I go back to 1st grade. And then, vice versa. I just think that you're right. It does give you a different perspective. I do have a tip though.
Yes.
Because I've seen the other side, the like administrative side. I always feel like I hate that it feels like sides sometimes. Sometimes it does, depending on your administrator. Hopefully they're so great and you feel like a team. Sadly, not everyone is so great.
Yeah.
But I have watched many administrators from the other side, and also been friends with several. And when they move you, like if they move you to a testing grade, to them, that's usually like a, what's the word? Like almost like a promotion. Like they
like you're a strong teacher, an effective teacher. But I don't want to say that ineffective teachers are in the younger grade.
It definitely doesn't mean that, because I used to hate that. I'm like, you're making us feel like second string players. It's really making me mad as a primary teacher. And I'm like, your money grades. They used to say things like that. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It was a terrible feeling. So I don't think that we have better teachers in intermediate at all. I don't think that whatsoever. But I think to an administrator who's looking at school grades and, all that kind of stuff, that is a compliment. But I also have seen administrators move teachers to grades that they know teachers don't want to go to in hopes that they will leave.
I've seen that too. Yeah. I've seen that. I haven't experienced that firsthand, but I've seen it. I think it's ill practice, but I think a lot of principals are just kind of like, I'm done with you. I'm going to move you. I remember there was a year where there was a teacher who was she had taught 5th grade she was going to retire. It was her last year before retirement. She had taught 35 years within the district, like 15 of the years at that school. And the last 10 were in 5th grade. And she kind of was just wanting to like go out on the high of 5th grade. And she was an amazing 5th grade teacher. She actually taught 5th grade when I was in like elementary school.
Wow.
She wasn't my teacher, but she was at the school I was at. Anyway, the last year they moved her to kindergarten. Like,
whoa,
why in the world you would do that to a teacher? I don't even know. It was just kind of like it felt mean spirited. Maybe they thought they were giving her like an easy way. Although I'm going to tell you, it is not easy to teach kindergarten, and she was not happy with that. So she called the superintendent, and lo and behold, the next day she was moved back to 5th. So, and it wasn't because they lost a unit. Like it wasn't, because that kind of stuff happens. They lose a unit. You got to move a grade level because now, they're shifting numbers. It wasn't anything like that. It was just literally,
it was mean.
It was kind of mean spirited. Yeah, it felt mean spirited. I don't know the other side. I hate it, like to bad talk someone that you can't hear what they were thinking, but it felt mean spirited. But interestingly, like I said, she called the superintendent and she got back in 5th grade for her last year, and she'd had a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
So
sometimes it is, sometimes I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. Sometimes I do feel that way. I have a friend that got moved from 2nd to 3rd because the principal wanted her to experience a testing grade. And my friend is very anti-testing. She has a son with dyslexia, like I do. And it was really frustrated with the situation. However, it was a mean thing to do. It felt mean spirited. It was like actually the reason the principal actually said that. But at the same time, that teacher learned so much and grew so much from the experience. Now she left the grade level and now she's becoming a media specialist. So so was it in the best interest? I don't know, because she's an outstanding teacher. So do you do that to your outstanding teachers? I don't know. All right. I think we've gotten off track. So why would you leave grade levels? Because you feel like you need a refresh,
a fresh start, maybe a new scenery when it comes to your team as well. I think it's a good kind of, if you're just not vibing with the team, sometimes maybe just a new team might help.
Sometimes drama that you are like,
it can be
part of this anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe, it's just, you're right. It just doesn't jive. What about a school change? How do you know when it's time to completely change your school? Because that's a lot. You're leaving.
It's huge.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah. For me, I knew it was time to leave schools when something had happened personally to me and in a professional sense, but it was like affecting me. Mm-hmm. And I was looking to my principal to support me during that time, and they didn't. And it felt like a big disappointment. And I remember I also wanted to move up to 3rd grade. So kind of those two combined made me think, you know what, maybe there's something better out there. Mm-hmm. I loved the school I was at. It was the dream school. It was the school I wanted when I was still student teaching. I worked so hard to get that job, but it was time. After 8 years, I interviewed with at a different school that a friend of mine had been teaching at. And in that interview, the principal had said something so interesting. Because he knew about the situation that had happened, and said, I couldn't imagine like one of my teachers going through that and me not being there to support them. And I realized then and there, like, there is something wrong with my principal. So I think if there's a lot of stress at your school, so the point of that story is if there's a lot of stress at your school, it may not be you, or may not be the grade level. It might be like the principal or the atmosphere of the school. And before you start thinking about quitting and leaving, it might be worth looking into a different school with a different principalship style.
Absolutely. I think that
even within the same district, because schools vary widely in their management style from their principals. And to me, the principal really sets this tone. So,
and it really, even though I know in some districts such as mine, they're trying to make that more like all schools will be the same. I think that's ridiculous. It's the same thing that I feel in classrooms. Like, we don't take autonomy from the principal. We don't take autonomy from the teacher. We're striving for mediocrity when we do things like that. So that's really frustrating. But anyway, I do think you do your homework. Like, what kind of what's the school's mission statement? What is their vision? What do they believe in? What are things they rally around? Like, when you're being interviewed for a new school, you too want to ask questions so that you know if the school is right for you. You get to decide. You don't have to worry the whole time. Do they like me? Do they like me? Do they like me? It's, do I like them as well? I like them? So I think that that's something important to look at. I know when it was time for me to leave a school, it was because I had worked for, well, one of the times my principal was he was being moved and he was getting to open a brand new school. And I went with him on the leadership team and we built this school we dreamed of. And that was an amazing experience. And I loved every part of it. I was totally pregnant too. So that was another crazy thing. I didn't end up working there the first year because I took the year off with my son. But I did all the stuff leading up to the point. And so that was a move. And then I moved again when he left because he got promoted to the district level. And I had a new principal who I liked, but it was my assistant principal. That was difficult. And it was like
everyone's shaking their head
I was
right now.
I was going to watch the school that I helped build like change, and I couldn't, it was too upsetting.
Yeah.
So I changed schools. Now I went to a hard school, a very difficult environment as far as what was happening with the administration and the teachers. And it was like, okay, well, I just went from bad to worse. So and then I was like, I'm leaving. I'm going to resign. Because this is brutal. I stuck in there. I hung in there for a year, and then it was like, no, time to go to a different school. It really has come down to the administrator for me, because the last school I was in, I loved the school. I was the AP, and I'm like, nope, I can't. So it really depends on that. That's a big sticking point for me. If I like my administrators and I feel supported and cared about, then that makes all the difference.
Well, and I agree. I think, do your homework before, if you can.
Yeah.
See if you know someone who works there, or look into the community. When I changed schools the first time, because I've changed schools a few different times, but the first time I had an in at the school, a friend of mine had taught there since the beginning, and we both had graduated at the same time. So, she kind of like told me how wonderful the school was. And I mean, it was a huge change demographically from the one school that I was going to another. And I knew that was going to be hard because I was going from a non-Title I, very big PTA, very heavy parent support, to a school that was Title I and had a lot more disadvantaged students. And, I know people are like, oh, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but it's a reality thing.
A reality.
It's just a different community there,
And I actually really enjoy working with students.
I did too. I'm going to tell you, I grew so much.
The parents that were involved they cared so much about their kids. The problem with Title I for me was never the parents or the students. It was the fact that the state comes in, and in this case, because I moved to the largest Title I and they were a failing school, the state comes in and demands you do all these ridiculous, horrible things. And there's all these practices that I'm like, why are we doing this? And it was those kind of things that frustrated me. It wasn't in the last case, it wasn't the environment. It was the things that they wanted us to do. And I'm like, I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. This isn't helping.
Yeah.
And it was making kids miserable.
Yeah. I think, and that's not for every school. Like my Title I school, like we had state come in and stuff, of course, but like, I don't know, the way the principal made it, he was super supportive of the teachers. The whole school was a community school. A lot of the teachers went there as students to that school. It was a wonderful atmosphere to teach at. And I was so blessed to be able to have gotten a job there. And I'm so glad the principal, took a chance on me and brought me in. And I got to teach third grade. It was like, I do not suggest a grade level change and a school change because that's a lot of change, but it was a great. And I grew so much as an educator that year because I got to learn how to work with different teachers. I got to learn with different types of students. I really do think like if you're feeling really frustrated, sometimes a school change might be what you need. Even if you did feel really close to your team back at that other school, like, you might need to just move forward. You're not a tree. You can get up and leave. You can go somewhere else.
You can create a new path. I know. I like that. I do think that's something to consider though, is if you have a great team, a team like a family.
Yeah.
It's rare. So
it is very rare.
Keep that in mind, because I definitely never found that aspect again. And I loved that aspect. So I will say that was difficult. All right. What happens like if you decide it's time to change careers? Now, a lot of teachers feel stuck in teaching, and I want to know they're not stuck. They're not stuck. We have so many skills that we've learned along the way that are marketable, that make you a really good employee. People that project management, instructional design, instructional coaching, like all these
HR.
There are jobs out there for teachers. And so if you are feeling stuck, you don't have to be stuck. I know for me, when I used to feel that way, when I got really tired, like a really tired teacher, I couldn't even imagine looking for a job because I was so exhausted. So I think that sometimes I'm like, if that's happening to you, then I feel like you give yourself a little bit of a window to like heal a bit and to like rejuvenate. And then you go, okay, I'm going to spend this amount of time actually looking for a new job.
Yeah. For me, I think it's time to step out of the classroom and maybe into a different position when you find that your heart isn't there anymore, right? It's not just the physical tired. It's like even the kids can't motivate you anymore because there's always going to be a bad principal or a new program, all that there's always going to be. But when the actual like kids are starting to just or you're feeling angry and your attitude is bad, like I don't want to say like you have to be the nice, happy teacher all the time because that's not true. But like if you find that maybe are taking your anger out even in your lessons or at your students, like it's time for you to step out and find something that fulfills you in a different way. And that may look like that career change, and going into maybe a different thing. And I think that's really hard for teachers because a lot of people become teachers because they have a passion for education. Yeah. Very few people are like, I got into education because I wanted to make a ton of money. Like, no, that's not true. They came into education because they have a passion for education. I know that's why I'm still in education, even though I have left the classroom. I'm still in there supporting the people that are in there because I love education so much. I love the work that teachers do. And so I think it's okay to say, I love education, but maybe I'm not living the classroom life right now. But that's a hard decision. That's one that you really have to think about. Because the truth is like once a teacher, always a teacher, we don't let you go. Like we want to it'll always be there. It'll always be a part of you.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that way for sure. I'm like, you can't even help yourself. I was just at the dog park. This is so silly. And this family brought their little ones, like they're like 2 and 4 to the dog park to get used to being around dogs, which I think, what? And so I'm like left out. I know I'm left out in this field area with this dog playhouse that the kids are trying to climb on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where are the parents? They're not paying attention. And also my dog is a puppy still. So he thinks they're other dogs. So he's like trying to jump and I'm trying to keep him off. So it's this whole thing, but I'm like helping the little girl climbs up the thing. And then I like have to get her down. She's going to fall. So I actually have to pick her up and put her on.
Oh my gosh, you touched someone else's kid?
I did. I touched someone else's kid because I'm like, if not, she's going to fall and break her neck.
That is such a teacher move. Normal people would be like,
oh yeah, no, I know. They'd be like,
no, honey, hold on.
And they left me out there. It was like 30 minutes had gone by. And finally I got both of them off the plaything. And I'm like, all right. And then we were talking, joking around. They were playing with my dog. I'm like, okay, Kobe, time to go. And I like ran because it was like, I finally had them in a safe place that I felt like I could walk away. And I walked up and the parents are sitting there with this man. And the guy's like, you really were keeping them entertained. And I'm like, oh yeah, because it's a natural teacher in you that it's not going to leave a child unsupervised, especially on a play structure. And I'm like, this is
especially at a dog park. I'm just thinking like, aren't they worried about a dog like biting? Because you don't bring your dog to a dog park because they're going to play with people.
Exactly. You're socializing them with other dogs.
Exactly.
It was a little stressful, but I do think, no, you're right. I'm like, I have to take this risk because I don't want this child to
I
fall
know.
and hurt
Yeah.
themselves. But I think that, yes, you're always a teacher. And also, honestly, like I enjoyed the time, even though I was a little stressed out. I enjoyed it because I
Mhm.
love interacting with children. Like that's the part of the job that never changed for me. That's the part
Yeah.
that I always loved. And
Me too, girl. Me too.
yeah. So, okay. What about teachers coming in to teaching? Like, what if their career change is into teaching? What should they be ready for?
Um,
What if you're going back to the classroom? What would you tell yourself?
well,
Mhm.
I think it's hard because education is not what it was even 2 years ago. It's
Yeah.
completely changed. There's a lot of differences, but
So ready,
I
maybe
think
be ready.
be
Protect
ready.
yourself, set your
I
boundaries.
think set boundaries is probably the biggest one. And that goes for any teacher who's feeling a little burned out going into the school year. Set clear boundaries because as a teacher, it is very easy to get wrapped up into this idea that you are a teacher, teaching is your life. You have no life outside of teaching, especially if you're younger, I feel like, or maybe not even younger, but just like this is all you have kind of thing.
Yeah.
It can
That is
very
perfect.
easily feel like that. And it doesn't need to be. It's okay to set an alarm and leave when at your contract hours. It's okay to not take those papers home to grade. It's okay to not check your email at night and email
Or
parents
even put
back
it on
all
your
hours of
phone.
the night.
You've said that in other episodes, not even having your email on your
Yeah.
phone.
Oh gosh, I never understood that. Don't put your email on your phone, people.
You're not available 24/7.
No. Well,
And also have some, like, maybe I used to tell my parents, these are my hours. Like I will not answer the
exactly.
phone after 7 o'clock. And you can set it lower than that, earlier than that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I have a family of my own and I'm
Yeah.
not going to answer your spelling questions,
Oh gosh, I know.
at 8 o'clock. You can just forget it. But I think that is really important. And we are in this system that uses shame and guilt all the time.
It's
And
true.
so we do it to each other even. We're like, look at that
I've
teacher
seen that.
leaving at 3:30. I mean, we have to,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
yeah, I mean,
So true.
I remember doing it. And then I'm like, and even at the end, I knew people were like judging me. And I'm like, I don't care. I am leaving. I was walking to my car 2 minutes before the time I was allowed to leave. I would never have done that, 25 years ago. But I'm like, I have to set boundaries for myself. And I just think
Yeah.
it's really important that we do, because marriages are impacted, lives are impacted, your health is impacted. You have to
Mhm.
prioritize. You cannot pour into someone else's cup when you are completely empty.
Yeah. And so really like going into the education, just kind of keeping that in mind. And you don't have to do everything. Give yourself tons of grace and just know your first year is the worst.
Yes.
Oh,
Sure.
it's going to be bad. It's like baptism by fire. Even if you had the most amazing school prep program and you had the most amazing internship teacher and you're like, even if all the stars are aligned and you have the perfect class, it is baptism by fire for sure. And it's hard. And
Right.
it's okay to say this is hard, but it won't be hard forever. I mean, I
So
don't want
give
to say it gets
yourself,
easier. It just,
yeah,
the hard things don't seem as hard. And then there's different hard ones.
give yourself some grace. Exactly. All right. Well, these two teachers we're ready for the rest of bring on the new year.
Yay!
Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.
Bye.